is Saturday, June 1st, 2013. Good morning, Eorzea. Now Celestine here, and we got quite a bit of news. We got the live letter that just came out the other day, as well as some prelude to E3 information. And to go over a lot of that with me, I'd like to welcome my special guest from Massively. Please welcome back Elliot.
Hi, everybody.
So, you all set this morning with your coffee and ready to go?
I actually do have my coffee right in front of me in my Honey Badger mug.
Oh, goodness. Alright, so let's dive right into the meat and potatoes then, and let's touch on the live letter. What seemed to stick out to you this time?
Well, the live letters, I've talked in my column on Massively, the Moglog, which goes live again today, so you should read that if you don't. But one of the things that always impresses me is how much Yoshida manages to fit into any kind of question and answer session. I know that one of the things that jumped out at me immediately as I was looking at it was it's been mentioned that the armory system is going to be changed and how it's going to work, and the idea that talking a little bit about the armory chest, the idea that you would actually just store a whole bunch of gear in there and not in your inventory and just equip it as needed, that really struck me as, this is interesting.
Yeah, the armory chest, it was a little bit of a focal point here for some controversy. There was some comments coming up of gear swapping mid-combat. Now, if anyone who's played 11 remembers that is a pain in the butt. But, thankfully, Square did come out just yesterday, I believe, and mentioned that the armory chest will only let you change gear if you do not have enmity. So it's just a gear storage space.
And the idea of it, I can easily see a situation where, for example, let's say you only play a couple of classes at level 50. You could have multiple sets of gear maybe squirreled away in an armory chest, or if you play every class at level 50, you could have a set of gear for each of those classes and a couple of optional pieces as you need them for multiple different classes.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is whatever you have set to equip on your different armory sets uses what's in your armory chest, so you can have the same piece of gear on a couple of different slots, or not slots, but a couple of different
if all of your crafters are using the same chest piece because they're all low level, you don't have to have 4 or 5 copies of the chest piece.
Exactly. You can just, when you swap between the different jobs, it'll let you use that same piece of gear over and over for each of them without having to go back into your inventory and re-equip it.
And speaking of jobs, since you mentioned that, Yoshida also confirmed in the live letter that Scholar is going to be implemented at the start of service as a job, which has... it was a very quick answer, but I think it has some pretty far-reaching implications for the game as a whole.
Yeah, nice little segue there. I didn't even anticipate that one. But yes, there was some rumor leaks about Scholar going around for a while now, and especially once the wallpapers came out with their joint project with Internet Explorer, and they showed the group of a bunch of jobs, and on the far right was Scholar. But if it's anything like I'm thinking, because remember they took away all the debuffs from both essentially White Mage and Black Mage, I'm wondering if Scholar is going to be the debuff job now.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if it is the debuff job, but the part I find most interesting is that, as far as we know, the only class we're getting is Arcanist. Thank you. Sorry, I blanked there for a moment. I shouldn't have. But, one of the things that people have asked about for a long time is, for example, are we going to get Dark Knight for Gladiator as a possible job option? Because the way the job system is currently set up, there's no need for us to have a new, one new class, one new job, one new class, one new job. Theoretically, you could have 7 or 8 jobs, which are all based upon the same class. Scholar, from what we've seen, obviously all we've seen is artwork, but it seems to use books, like Arcanist does. And it's very possible, considering that we know that the focus of Arcanist we've heard rumors at least about the focus of Arcanist. If possibly Summoner and Scholar are both jobs based off of Arcanist, and each one focuses on a different aspect of the class.
That's actually a very interesting thought. I hadn't thought of that one myself. I was thinking that they were going to implement another class for Arcanist at this rate. But, yeah, if that's the case, that's... I don't know about Dark Knight coming off of, Gladiator, though.
Oh, no, Dark Knight should totally be Warrior. Should totally be off of Marauder.
No, not even that. Dark Knight should be a brand new class to job.
I disagree. I disagree on one basis, and one basis. Scythes were a really silly weapon.
That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the fact that the traditional Dark Knight weapon is a greatsword.
Traditionally, it is a greatsword. We should see a greatsword class at some point. Although, frankly, I want Musketeer before we get anything with a greatsword.
And sadly, unfortunately, that question was asked during the live letter, and they don't have any information on Musketeer as of yet.
No, but we know that I keep a hope in my heart. We know that Yoshida is aware of the cries for both Musketeer and Ninja, so I live with hope in my heart every day.
We'll get something eventually. I can't see an expansion too far off. I mean, you have to remember that technically 14 will be hitting its 3rd anniversary soon, even if it is getting a relaunch.
Yeah.
And yes, they rebuilt an entire engine, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that they've at least have plans, if not fundamentals, already built for an expansion.
I would honestly be surprised if they, especially knowing how far in advance Yoshida plans and how much he sets the seeds up for the future. I would not be surprised if haven't already gone through much of the planning stages for an expansion and are already figuring out what's going to be happening 4 years in advance for the game.
I just don't think they're probably committing the full kind of like programming resources, but maybe story, plot, and maybe basic sketching work right now. Because right now, yes, an expansion would be amazing, but it's getting the thing off the ground first that's most important. Speaking of getting off the ground, they showed quite a few different scenes for Limsa and Ulda during the live letter, including a new version of, I think it was Bronze Lake.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. It floors you every time you see the environments. It's gorgeous even if you aren't familiar with Final Fantasy XIV, the first version. But if you are, then it's just like you recognize little bits and pieces and say, oh, I know where we are, but it's so different.
I remember going to Bronze Lake in version 1 of the game, and it was just a lake. That's all it was.
There's
was
a hole with water in it.
Yep. And now when I look at this now with that ruin, as soon as I saw the concept art for that, I got super excited, because I had no idea this was going to be Bronze Lake. I thought, this is going to be an amazing dungeon. Now, for all I know, it's an amazing dungeon in Bronze Lake, and I'm just like, the lighting, the look, the texture, I want to be there.
I know.
Oh god, I want to be there.
Well, as we were discussing before the show, we all just fundamentally miss Final Fantasy XIV, and this is just... It's like Christmas is coming in August, essentially.
True. It's just, the wait is long, don't get us wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We've been, most of us have been waiting since, oh god, what was it, December, yeah, it was like,
December
late December, yeah, late December, early January when Yoshida took over and they mentioned the first hints of 2.0.
Yep, I remember, because I remember waking up, and it was a Friday because I had to work that day at my second job. And I remember waking up and looking at my inbox, which I do every morning just to see what's going on for work, and just seeing this huge explosion of Final Fantasy XIV is completely redoing everything.
it's been a long run. It's been a successful looking run so far, and I know that the NDA is going to be lifted even further when Phase 3 comes out. And they did mention that Phase 3 will be starting on June 14th. So, if I remember correctly, Phase 3 is for anybody who had a Final Fantasy 14 account?
Yep, everyone who had a 14 account, whether or not you were a legacy status holder, and I believe they will also be letting in some testers who just signed up for testing. And then 4 is supposed to be open beta.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I also remember correctly, or not so much remember correctly, but if you remember before they announced Phase 2, they had another convention or conference that they were at, and everybody that was in the room there got a bunch of beta passes. Now, we all know E3 is going to be coming up very shortly. I believe it starts on the 10th.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that everybody in the business audience there will probably be getting beta access. It'd be a very good publicity stunt, at least.
I think they're going... I would not be surprised if they have a lot to show off at E3.
They did mention there's going to be some more information released about Scholar, Summoner, and they mentioned they're going to be showing off limit breaks at E3.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm not sold on the limit break system yet because I haven't seen it. So I can't in all good conscience say that I have much of an opinion on it, but, I'm interested to see where they're taking it. I remember that skill chains from Final Fantasy XI, which were very much the antecedent of the whole limit break system as it's been presented conceptually, were simultaneously one of the neatest parts of 11 and one of the most frustrating parts because, oh, no, we fired your skill just a little too early. No, that was a little too slow. No, not that, not 2 seconds, no, 2.5 seconds. There you go, we got it.
Yeah, that's a bit of a hassle. What I'm just hoping that happens is, because from the sounds of it, it looks like it's going to be based off of whoever activates it.
Mm-hmm. I'm
hoping that they make it so all of the limit breaks are equal level damage-wise.
Oh, yes. You don't want the trigger-happy Black Mage to waste the party's limit break over and over when the Dragoon has been waiting patiently to do his thing the entire run.
Now, what I'm thinking, though, is depending on which job activates it, it should have different attributes, so to speak. Like, as an example, we've all seen the Meteor one from the benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously triggered by, I'm assuming, probably the Black Mage first.
And if you haven't seen that from the benchmark, seriously, what are you doing? Go download the benchmark. Really.
Yeah, but if the one from the benchmark there, I'm assuming it's mostly magical damage. Now, let's say we throw Dragoon in there, we're probably going to get very high physical damage type skill. Paladin, maybe we'll get a massive enmity reduction for the party, massive enmity boost, as well as, I don't know, defense down or something for the boss. But stuff like that where it's... each one of them would be situationally better than another,
but they're all useful.
All of them useful. Because you don't want to have LOL Monk, LOL Dragoon, LOL Paladin limit breaks.
Which is something, I mean, again, to call back to 11, you had that with certain problems. I remember playing a Dragoon right around the same time that Pentathrust got taken down from its throne, at which point it became LOL Dragoon.
Exactly, and Yoshida-san has very clearly stated that he wants all jobs and all classes to be involved in some way, shape, or form. So the best way to do that would be to tweak and balance these so that way each one is situationally useful, but don't make it so that way one is always more useful than any other.
I'm trying to think if there's a... It could also... One of the things that I seem to remember was mentioned way back in the day was the idea that some of these breaks would depend partly upon who was in the party, so that you might get different attributes based on, say, if a Black Mage activates it and a Dragoon is in the party versus Black Mage activates it and you don't have a
Yeah, true. Maybe it'll be depending on your party spread. If party is fully balanced, maybe you'll get a bigger bonus or something.
That actually, especially, that seems like it might work out the best and encourage people to use multiple classes together, even if make it a little more enticing to have an archer as opposed to having another dragoon, even if having the dragoon might provide more raw damage.
Yeah, but don't forget the archer is also a bard, which can give MP songs to any mages you have, attack and accuracy songs. So, yeah, you wouldn't be having the DPS, but you'd be having a significant support as well. But I think we're getting close to our time limit here. It was wonderful having you back on here, Elliot.
It's always wonderful to show up.
I'd like to thank Abriel from the Gungnir server for posting up a bunch of the screenshots from the live letter. I've been using them for the episode if you haven't been able to tell. I will probably be taking a bit of a hiatus over the next week because I will be having company here. But I will try to get at least one or two shows out in the meantime. So if you do have any screenshots that you'd like to share, you can always post them on the official Lodestone topic. You can Twitter them to me. And if you have any topic suggestions or comments, you can always, on the topic, or you can even put them at the bottom in the YouTube comments. As always, this is Nell Celestine and my guest,
Elliot Lefebvre,
bidding you adieu.